ABC 6 News 11 at 11 starts right now.
Right now at 11 at a nasty raw sewage flowing into the water from Woonsocket to Pawtucket. Where it's coming from and how long it'll be off limits to fishing. Plus tragedy in Buffalo after a massive fire. How officials are remembering a firefighter killed in the line of duty. And later, after a terrible start, the Friars battling to the end at home tonight in another top 25 matchup. Highlights and reaction are on the way. We'll get to those stories shortly, but first tonight on 11 at 11. A warning from the Rhode Island DEM. Do not fish from Cumberland Hill Road in Woonsocket to the Slater Mill Dam in Pawtucket. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm John DeLuca. That warning comes after the DEM looked into a discharge of partially treated wastewater that came from the Woonsocket Regional Treatment Facility. Now, if you can believe it, it was a video post on Twitter that sparked the DEM's initial interest to check it out. Now, the area from Cumberland Hill Road in Woonsocket to the Slater Mill Dam in Pawtucket is now off limits to fishing and any other water activity until further notice. Now, that treatment plant is operated by a private contractor and treats 10 million gallons of raw sewage daily. DEM says the plant also made 2 unpermitted discharges last year that are already under investigation, one in March and another in June. Also new tonight at 11 at 11, a truck caught fire on 195 in Fall River, slowing down traffic. The good news here, state police say that driver was not hurt. Police responded to the area near the Plymouth Ave overpass right around 6:30. New tonight on 11 at 11, a firefighter in Buffalo was killed after a building collapsed this morning. That fire was in the city's Main Street Theater District. A few hours after the fire started, officials did confirm a 37-year-old firefighter was killed when it collapsed.
The situation deteriorated very rapidly, so that's why firefighters were actually inside the building, and he was probably about 30 or 40 feet in on the main floor when the mayday was called. And as I said, the rest of the firefighters on the scene were able to safely evacuate, and unfortunately, he was not able to.
Let us lift up our eyes in hope to see a new and brighter day. We ask you to comfort those who mourn and have lost our brother firefighter. We ask you to comfort his immediate family, his friends, and to comfort all of us in this city of good neighbors, that we may walk in the light of faith.
Now, the building was under construction. Buffalo's fire commissioner saying they are looking into reports the fire may have been caused by construction workers using torches in the area. A Chicago police officer died after he was shot by a suspect on the run tonight. It happened after 4 officers responded to a domestic violence call. Police say they saw someone chasing a woman down the street with a gun. The officer and the suspect then exchanged gunfire. Both were hit. The suspect, an 18-year-old, was shot in the head and is now listed in critical condition. The name of the officer has not yet been released. Happening tomorrow, Governor Healy will be in Brockton to visit the site of a hospital fire. Healy's office says that she and the lieutenant governor will join local officials to tour parts of Brockton Hospital impacted by the fire. All of the hospital's patients, you may remember, more than 100, were evacuated as firefighters battled the electrical fire last month. Firefighters ultimately hitting 10 alarms for help in that large-scale evacuation. The hospital remains closed with no emergency services. Happening right now, we're looking live at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. SpaceX and NASA set to launch a joint mission to the International Space Station just after midnight. If you're scoring at home, launch time is 12:34 a.m. The first attempt for the Crew 6 team on Monday was scrubbed just minutes before blastoff. NASA saying there was an unusual data signature with the fluid that is used to start the engines of Falcon 9's rockets. A clogged ground filter caused that faulty reading. All right, time now for check out the forecast. Storm tracker meteorologist Kelly Bates joining us now live in the Weather Center. How are you this evening, Miss Kelly?
I'm sitting on a rainbow. And yourself?
Not bad.
Excellent.
We're moving along.
Yeah, we have temperatures that are in the upper 30s as we look across the region, not only in Providence. We also have our dew point that's holding at 33. That's the basement. That's as low as that temperature can go, 33. So we're not expected to drop below freezing, and we're not expected to refreeze anything that melted today. So we have that going for us right from the gate as we go into the overnight. So we have this front back here. This is front number 2 that we're going to have to deal with. One already went through. This here is number 2. This one is going to be impacting your early commute. So between now and then, we're going to thicken up the clouds once again. We're going to start to see precipitation develop. It looks like after 3 a.m. is when it will onset, and then it's going to fill in and become locally heavy at times through the duration of the morning commute. So not only will we have rain that may come down locally heavy, reducing visibility, we're also going to see some patchy fog in place at the same time. So the morning commute could be a little bit tricky, and you may want to leave yourself a little extra time to get where you're headed. And yes, we are looking at rain that will be hanging with us for the duration of your morning commute. Now it gets really tricky once we get to Friday, at least meteorologically, because we have a chance of seeing a veritable smorgasbord of precipitation as we go into the weekend. And I'll tell you what to expect when, coming up in just a couple minutes. John?
All right, that is a tease. Thank you, Kelly. Now to our focus on our schools. Governor McKee, along with other school officials, announcing funding for multilingual learners across 10 school districts. $8 million now set aside in the budget for that. According to the governor's office, 24,000 students who speak over 100 languages make up 16% of the student population in Rhode Island.
Because what also happened in the past, it was this thought that if you didn't know the language, we'll give you 2 grade levels below, and that would actually open up your opportunities. But we know that if you're giving 2 grade levels below, you're actually teaching 2 grade levels below, right? So it is those tenets that we want the districts to be able to follow.
The Education Commissioner saying some districts may need to have add staff members to cover this new curriculum. Governor Healy is proposing free community college for a select group of residents in the state. The free tuition would only apply to residents 25 and older without a college degree. ABC 6 News reporter Natalie Nuri spoke with BCC's president about this proposal.
I'm here at Bristol Community College in Fall River and spoke with President Douglas earlier, who says she's so excited about this proposal, calling it a transformational opportunity for adults in the state of Massachusetts. Governor Maura Healey announcing a proposal Wednesday that would grant people over 25 years old without a college degree to go to community college for free.
Community colleges are the ticket to economic mobility.
It's part of Healey's budget for the year. The president of Bristol Community College in Fall River says 40% of the student population there is 25 and older.
You know, that's a real difference between the community college and other four-year institutions. Our average student is 25 or 26 years old.
The Mass Reconnect program would target that age demographic, giving them free state funding after they've exhausted financial aid. Douglas added that community college is more affordable to begin with, so the balance of state funding wouldn't be as much as you'd think.
A good number of our students already are eligible for financial aid. And many of our students really leave without any debt. So this is a small investment for a really big bang.
The proposed $20 million would not only allow adult learners to go to school for free, but it pays for books, fees, housing, tuition, and more.
The tuition is free, wraparound services, lots of support.
Governor Healy thinks offering this kind of education opportunity to adult learners can also help fill labor shortage gaps.
We came upon this one in particular because it was focusing on a population that we thought we could really reach.
Of course, this is only a proposal for now, and Governor Healy's budget will need approval from state legislature. For now, reporting in Fall River, Natalie Nori, ABC 6 News.
In local political news tonight, Attleboro has a new mayor, as you probably know by now, and another election already on the calendar. Kathleen DeSimone won yesterday's election. She beat acting Mayor Jay Delisio by less than 400 votes. She'll be sworn in on March 11th. She doesn't have a lot of time to enjoy her victory. She's going to have to run again in 8 months for the full term. That's because the term of Paul Hero, who resigned after being elected Bristol County Sheriff, expires this November. Delisio has already promised in a video he posted on Facebook that he will be running again in November. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee today. Among the hot topics, the DOJ's reported investigation into Ticketmaster after the Taylor Swift debacle, gun laws, and the fentanyl crisis. Senator Whitehouse is on that committee, and he asked the Attorney General about climate change.
Methane is probably one of the most dangerous greenhouse gases. We see plumes of it miles long floating across the United States. It takes multiple levels of enforcement, federal, state, local, and private, to address these massive leaks. What can you tell me you are doing to assure that there is that coordinated multi-jurisdictional enforcement operation in place?
You are exactly right. And we now have the benefit of overhead commercial satellites, which are able to actually see methane with respect to the infrared spectrum.
Now, the Attorney General went on to say the DOJ is in the process of establishing a working group with other departments to make use of new scientific tools and funding from the Infrastructure Act to address Senator Whitehouse's concerns. Now to an ABC 6 News update. An indictment in Charlestown murder case. 26-year-old Alex Rowland is now charged with murder. He's accused of stabbing a 45-year-old woman in her bed with a hunting knife. This took place back in September. Rhode Island State Police say that Rowland confessed to them that he didn't do it. Rowland will be arraigned later this month in Washington County Superior Court. An internet outage today causing a ripple effect in Rhode Island. State telling ABC 6 News all of the impacted public entities are now functioning once again. CCRI announced it was having some problems, as did the DMV, which had to close early because of the outage. Now, they want anyone who missed out on their scheduled appointment today to know that it will be honored at any DMV branch next week. Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus. Today marks 3 years since the first case of coronavirus was confirmed in Rhode Island. The first case was an administrator over at St. Ray's in Pawtucket. Now, by the end of March, the state reported its first 2 deaths. From there, the state's lockdown was in place. And to this day, Rhode Island still has an emergency declaration in place. Still to come tonight at 11, explosives found inside checked luggage at a mid-sized airport in Pennsylvania. What we know so far about the passenger now in custody and the device. And later, a few of you called us tonight asking what you saw in the sky. And believe it or not, we have the answer. You're watching ABC 6, Southern New England's trusted news source.